What do we know about the Etruscans? Were they Europeans?
This is Giotto, Cappella degli Scrovegni in Padova. You can see the early Tuscan painting, you find always oriental looking appearance. We don't know why, but there must have been some contact, especially with Siena.
They were Asiatic.
One of the other cities of the 12 city-states is Vilcli. Now here, there's nothing left of this city, it's just open pasture land. But diagrams have been done by archaeologists of what the original structures look like. And here we see a huge cone-shaped pyramid with a labyrinth of passages underneath. And just look at this. You can see the size of the pyramid. In the slide, you see a person standing. That's how big the pyramid was. And it has a staircase that travels down to the bottom with this circular tube. And on the ground floor is a labyrinth of passageways, rather like the Trojan labyrinth. Unfortunately, there's very little left of this building. As you can see on the right there, that's all that remains of it. Now, the other site of importance is the tomb of Porsenna at Chiusi, in one of the other 12 city-states. Now, here there was an incredible building, which again consists of a labyrinth, internal labyrinth, with 4 pyramids at each corner, one in the middle, containing a brazen globe. Have you ever seen anything like that? There's nothing like that in the world, is there? There's nothing to compare. Nothing in Babylon, Greece, Italy. These are truly lost cities of splendour. It proves to me that the Etruscans were master masons. And to me, the key to the knowledge today is through the masons, through the stonemasons who have inherited this knowledge and continue it down their line. So where did all this knowledge go?
Quite a few scholars believe that Etruscan is a very ancient language that may even have existed before Greek and Latin. The problem in figuring out the language of the Etruscans stems from the mystery over their origins.
The Etruscans were ethnically different from the other tribes who came to Italy. It's sometimes said that the Etruscan language is indecipherable, adding to their mystique, but that's not true. Scholars have been able to read it for several hundred years, and some 14,000 of their inscriptions have survived, on which we see the distinctive backward script, because the Etruscans wrote and read right to left.
Similarities in mythology. In the founding myth of Rome, namely Romulus and Remus, a she-wolf suckled 2 little children. It is frighteningly similar to the Turkic version from Central Asia, namely the Arsena legend, which is concerning the same plot. A she-wolf named Arsena suckled 1 little child. This alphabet was originally an Etruscan sentence reading from right to left. When you decode this early alphabet with Turkic tamgaz, then you get the following sentence. This is a Turkic sentence which was used to teach the children of pre-Turkic language of Etruscans. It can be understood especially by Kazakhs today. The meaning tells people about the victories which were won in the name of deity. It sounds very Turkic, doesn't it? But why are Western historians hiding this fact? Because when the Western public would get to know these facts, Europeans would feel very ashamed. Therefore, they are speculating with their nonsense linguistic devices. Now the Etruscan grammar. Unlike the Indo-European languages, Etruscan noun endings were more agglutinative, with sometimes 2 or 3 endings added instead of the alternative endings. For example, where Latin would have distinct nominative plural and dative plural endings, Etruscan would suffix the case ending to a plural marker. I want to remind that agglutinative languages are spoken by Turanians, mainly Ural Altaic peoples, Native Americans, and so on.
It was from the Etruscans that the Romans inherited gladiator games, hydraulic engineering, temple design, and religious rites. The Asua kingdom formed a coalition with Mycenaean Greece against the Hittites, who were nonetheless eventually able to make Asua a vassal state. The portrait of the Asua warrior king Tarkas Nawa was carved into the side of Mount Nif near the city of Izmir, Turkey. His successor, Tantalus, was found guilty of unethical conduct and sentenced to be chained in a cave with an underground pond called Tartarus, similar to Kaklik Cave and Karain Cave in western Anatolia. Tantalus was succeeded by Brotias, regarded as the last great Asua king, and nicknamed Manes, or the ancestor. During his reign, in the 12th century BCE, the military leader Pisus colonized the Aegean Islands and the Peloponnese, and founded a city called Pisa near Olympia. He also tried to attack Egypt, but his fleet was repulsed by Pharaoh Ramesses III at the shores of the Nile Delta. This major conflict is recorded on the walls of the pharaoh's mortuary temple at Mehmet Habu. During the reign of his son Attis, western Anatolia was beset by severe famine and turmoil. Most cities and villages were pillaged or destroyed. King Attis decided to halve the population. One half to remain in their homeland, and the other to set off in search of new lands to settle. Lots were drawn, and Attis appointed himself to stay, while one of his sons, named Turainos, led a fleet to the central Mediterranean Sea and landed in the Italian region of Tuscany, where he founded another city named Pisa. The Tyrrhenian Sea off the western coast of Italy is named after Turainos.
This is my great ancestor.
The ancient Greek historian Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BC, claimed the Etruscans came from the Near East. He claimed that after a famine in Lydia, in present-day Turkey, a group of refugees set off from the seaport of Smyrna, led by their king's son, one Turainos. The Greeks, in fact, called the Etruscans the Turainoi, and hence the Turanian Sea, the sea off the west coast of the Italian peninsula, on which young Turainos and his crew supposedly fetched up, and along which, and inland from, they founded their cities.
The newly founded settlement soon came in contact with the Villanovan people living in the Apennines, and the fusion of their cultures gave rise to the so-called Etruscan civilization.
Now to the Turanian features of the Etruscans. The Turanians are a family of ethno-linguistically related peoples which include the Hungarians, the Uralic group, Finnic and West Siberian peoples, and the Altai group, Turkic, Mongolian, Tungus Manchu, Korean and Japanese peoples. Turanians are the indigenous inhabitants of vast territories in Eurasia, from Central Europe to the Pacific Ocean, and have a rich and ancient cultural heritage. A recent study published by a professor at Stanford University claims that the Etruscans were not Indo-Europeans, nor were they black. The study by Elizabeth Hidley also claims that the Etruscan language is not Indo-European. Her results also seem to have lacked an awareness of the physical appearance of the Etruscans, who are shown in the wonderful murals of their tombs with light hair and several upblonde, which is typical for ancient Turanians as well.
Volterra is a hilltop town about 50 kilometers southeast of Pisa. The name Volterra is a Latin transliteration of the Etruscan name Velathri, which is cognate with the Indo-Iranian Vayuvata, the Turkic Yelata, and the Mongolian Salhetseg, which refer to the angelic and demonic aspects of the wind, as the city is known for its windy weather. Volterra is said to be still haunted by the Etruscan ghosts called Manes. When Volterra was founded, a crypt was dug at the foot of the hill, representing a gate to the netherworld. The vault was supported by one central pillar. The Etruscan word manes, meaning ancestor or revenant, is cognate with the Indo-Iranian word manu, that is progenitor or founder, and the Sanskrit manas, that translates to mind or spirit, and is related to the Mongolian term mergen, meaning sage or hero. The symbols of Volterra are the dragon and griffin, representing the struggle between good and evil, and the goddess Vanth, representing glory in the afterlife.
Any depictions of blacks, or anything resembling blacks in ancient Etruria, were simply another people that were living in the area at the time whom the Etruscans were aware of, and they depicted them very differently than they depicted themselves, as seen here.
We were courageous soldiers, but we were constantly defending while Rome kept creating its empire, which was to turn into the greatest empire of the ancient world. Veio applied for help to the Union of 12 cities, but they refused to help. We didn't manage to understand that our strength was in unity. Everyone stood for oneself. We lost this war.
So let my people be who they are, and stop trying to claim something that doesn't belong to you.